Hey guys, welcome to Downtown Tailoring. In today's video, we are going to make a blouse/jacket following the instruction of a pattern. So let's go. Your first step is to iron your material, but it's much better if you wash it or dry clean it too. A good idea is to check the care instruction at the store and we will know what to do. Now I'm going to iron the pattern. Shout out to our viewer Gracie for sharing with us this tip. You can iron your pattern to get out all these uncomfortable wrinkles. Set your iron to a low setting and press preferably from the wrong side of the pattern. I like to go from the center to the sides, and it's very important to remember not to steam. Now it's time for us to check the best layout for our patterns. I'm identifying all the pieces to put them in the right spot. My table isn't as big as I wish. I have all my layout done. It's exactly like they suggested. So I'm going to pin the pieces to the fabric prior to cut, but I have to tell you that I prefer to go one by one. I'll show you some details as we talked about in our last video. We have here the center back. The material has to be folded. This line represents the grain of the material, and this is the selvage of the material, so these two lines has to be parallel. And this is the only piece that is certainly tricky. This is the collar. The collar has to be cut twice. Now I will start to cut the pattern, and as you can see, I'm cutting in the wrong way because I'm cutting from the far to the edges, and you have to do it the other way. Now I'm cutting out my notches. You have to mark all your notches because it's so important. I just cut it a little bit smaller. Now I'm going to pin the next piece, and I will show you the right way to cut it. You cannot start there. You have to start at the other side there, because if your material is not well positioned for some reason, you can move it after. But if you start to the other side, then you will lose a lot of material. This is really important. In this way, because I'm working from my left to the right, it's more difficult for me to do that, but that's why I prefer to go from the right to the left to cut my pieces. You see, the next step is the center. If I have to move the pattern for some reason, I don't lose any material. I already cut all my pieces, and I will go and proceed to sew. I made all the notches, and before sewing, I will cut my interfacing. With the interfacing, I like to mark it and then cut it inside the line. So my interfacing usually is a little bit smaller than the original piece. I have many reasons why I do that. This is my collar. It has some marks, and I will just transfer all my marks to the collar. But before that, I will iron the interfacing. Now I can fold it again, and I'm marking where the collar is supposed to finish. And I have as well the button, but I don't think I will use the button in this job. I don't know. I'm not sure if I will like it. If I like it, I will mark it after. So the way you usually work after you do your interfacing, you are going to finish first the front, then the back, and then you are going to sew the sleeves and then sew the whole sides together. In my case, I rather sew together and then the sleeve, but we will just follow the instructions. So these are my two pieces for the front. As you can see, I will join them together, and then I will sew at 5/8 of the inch because this is what the instruction says. And here I'm gonna go and do a flat fell. Remember that we have videos with the flat fell stitch, so you know what to do. So I'm going to do this a little bit fast in the lazy stage, let's say, because I'm not going to iron, but I will do all the steps. So I did my seam, and then now I am trimming the excess in just one of the sides. In this case, it's the top side because I will flat to the top. Now I'm folding it. As you can see, I'm just top stitching, and as I say, if you really want it to look good, it's better to iron before. But this material, I have to be honest, this material is very easy to work with. This is the other side, and I'm doing exactly the same. Now that I have my two pieces together for the front. I'm ironing everything, and I will go and do at the back. So let me show you what I have done until now. Now I will sew the shoulders. So for the shoulders, we are gonna do a French seam. You know, I do my first stitch with the two wrong sides of the material together. I trim the excess, and then I'll go to the wrong side of the material and then do my last stitch. So the raw material will be encased inside. It will be completely clean. We have as well another video explaining perfectly well the French seam. Here you go. You see how it looks. It looks totally clean, and now I'm gonna iron it, and I will iron it facing the front. Before I used to iron facing the back, but it's really more correct by the front. So this is what I have. I have the two fronts at the back, and now I'm going to sew the sleeves. As you can see, the double notches represent the front of the sleeve, so I will put this one there and I will put this one there, and then I will make all the notches to match together. This is where I will start pinning, where my notches are, and now I will go and make one stitch at 5/8 of the inches, and then I'm going to do another stitch at 1/4 inch, because what I'm gonna do, I will trim the excess of material, and then I will go and overcast my stitch. We haven't done any videos, and there are many ways to overcast. In this case, I will just do the easiest. So what I wanna show to you with this overcasting is that you don't need the serger to finish a garment. Of course, if you have the serger, it's so easy and faster, but anyways, you can do like a lot of things. Even if you have a domestic machine, you can do the overcast with the sewing machine. You can do zigzag overcast. So you know, if you want, we can make a video about other finishes too. So this is my overcast, and now I'm going to top stitch, so this stitch will lay flat. These are in the instructions. I'm just following the instructions. Now it's time then for close all the sides from the sleeve to the waist. See everything together? I'm going to sew this one at 5/8 again, and you see here, you see, because it's so curvy in the armhole, you know, it pulls a little bit the material. So the solution for that is to make some snips so the material can open and relax. This is really important, otherwise it doesn't look good at all. You see the difference? Okay, let me show you in the mannequin. So to finish this one, we are going to do the Hong Kong finish. For that, we need a bias tape. What I'm gonna do now, I will make it because I don't have in a nice color for that. And what I'm gonna do is iron my material, and then I will make a square of 18 inches by 18. You can make it any size you want. It's just, I'm guessing that this one will be enough. I'm tracing now a diagonal line and cutting it. Then I will take my 2 grains of material. I'll sew them together. After that, I will iron this material open, and then I will proceed and make some lines parallel, starting in one diagonal. This one will be the 1.5 inches because I think this measurement will be very good for me. You will do it depends of the width that you want your tape. So I'm making all my lines, and then when I go to the last one, if you have an excess, you just cut it off. And then what I'm going to do is to make a tube, but instead of making from edge to edge, I will leave one line out, and then I will sew it. I made sure to put the length of the stitch a little bit smaller. Then what I'm gonna do, I will cut it starting in one edge, and then I will go until I have my whole tape. You see? Nice, huh? I love to make those tapes like that. Guys, don't get dizzy. So here you go, I have my tape now, and then I can go and proceed and finish my side seams. So I'm ironing them before, and now I'm going to iron them open to make my job easier. You see, this is where I snip my seam allowance. I'm ironing the other side too, and here what you are going to do. You are going to place your bias tape in the corner, and then you will sew at 1/4 inch, and then I will stitch in the ditch so you won't be able to see it. Then you will cut off the excess. blouses. And here you go, it looks really fantastic. This is such a nice finish. Now I'm gonna do it again in the other side. I have to do this seam 4 times, and I will do it as well in my interfacing. When it's in the interfacing, looks so nice, like a really high quality. In the interfacing instead, I use a pinky shear scissor because it will look even cleaner and nicer. Now I am sewing my interfacing to the center front, and now I'm doing the under stitch so the interfacing won't come out. So what I'm gonna do now, I will clean up my shoulder side of my interfacing, and by that I will going to sew it to the shoulders. I'm doing it a little bit rounded so when you iron it flat it looks clean. You see? That's it. And now I will just stitch by hand my collar, just to be sure that when I sew the collar there, it won't move. You know, I'm just basting it. When you are sewing and you sew by hand, you will do better job. This is my collar, and the first thing I'm gonna do is to mark my seam allowance of 5/8 of the inch, and then I'm going to iron it. I'm trying to be very careful so I get a nice curve. After that, I will just cut the excess and just a little bit more of there. And now I will sew my collar to the other side. This is a very nice and easy way to sew the collar because it's already clean in one sense. So when I sew the collar, I sew it first at 1/4 inch, but then I remember that it's 5/8 of the inches. Anyways, you have to cut the excess of the material to 1/4 inch and then snip in the curve. So when you turn it, the curve looks good. I'm reading the instructions, and the instruction is asking me now to sew the collar. But I have a little trick that I learned when I was very young. I mark the collar where the other side finished, so to make my job easier. And then when I sew it, I will sew it just a hair below the mark. Now I'm going to do an stay stitch in my collar. Remember, the stay stitch is just one stitch, so when you sew your collar, it doesn't open, it doesn't stretch out. And now I'm going to proceed to find my center and to find my center in the collar, and I will sew the collar to the body. Remember the mark I did? I prefer just to trim the excess before sewing because it's just easier for me to sew it this way. The instruction says to sew at 5/8 on the inch, but I'm not used to sew collar such a big seam allowance. Now I'm sewing the collar to the body, and I'm sewing it at 1 hair inside of the mark. When I do the stitch on the ditch, we'll catch the other side, you see? Nice trick, huh? So now I'm going to do the hem on the sleeve, and I'm just using all my tricks and all my seams. So why not to use a tape for doing the hem? I'm sewing the tape first in the raw material of the hem, and of course I previously marked my hem. And this is just the hair that is just too much, and then I just cut it out, and then I will just fold it in the right place and sew it straight. To make it straight, I put a tape, I don't know if you can see it, to mark my line. And here you go, it's done. Now I'm going to do the hem to my body, and this one we will do it different, just to go around, just because go big or go home. So I mark the hem, and I turn the facing out, and then I sew at a hairline a little bit, just a little bit outside the mark, and then I just turn, and you see how square and nice it looks. See? I do the same at the other side with my other interfacing, turn, and now I'm ready to do the hem. So to make the hem, what I'm gonna do, I will just turn twice my material, and I will start to sew it here. I usually don't do it like that, I just sew, but just to make it a little different. And then here you go, that's my hem. So everything is done, and look at that, it looks so good. I love it. And here you go, this is I put it inside out now just to show you all the things we did today. We did the flat fill, we did the French seam, we did the overcast with the top stitch, we did the Hong Kong seam, we did the hem with the tape, and the double folded hem. Nice, huh? So, as I said, just to let you know that you don't really need a fancy sewing machine, or of course, if I just would have searched everything, would have taken me like probably 3 hours less to do the job, but I just wanted to show you that it's possible. So guys, that was all for today. I hope that you liked this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, like. Bye.